California. From the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Press Office. To you. Thursday, November 3, 2022, 10:14 a.m. Biden-Harris administration announces $53 million for 132 community air pollution monitoring projects across the nation. California selected applications. Primary applicant. Project states. Proposed EPA funding. Project description. Air Resources Board. CA. $499,100. Recipient will utilize community engagement and partnership to co-design and implement air quality monitoring in 2 distinct environmental justice communities in California, with the goal to inform the development of a statewide community air monitoring program and guide the enhancement of the air toxics program. Bay Area Air Quality Management District. CA. $298,114. Recipient will use an air monitoring van to perform exploratory measurements of pollutants, conduct studies to investigate questions raised by the results of the screening measurements, and deploy a network of outdoor and indoor air sensors and filtration units to community members and schools, who will be trained to interpret data and respond to air quality emergencies, such as wildfire smoke events. Bishop Indian Tribal Council. CA. $67,398. Recipient will purchase, install, and operate a monitor at the tribe's air station to investigate pollution impacting the reservation community, and to make ancillary data collections using portable monitors for comparison. The data will inform the tribal community of potential health improvement and pollution reduction opportunities. Blue Lake Rancheria. CA. $306,209. Recipient will build capacity of tribal environmental staff to conduct air quality monitoring, deploy equipment to collect data on pollutants of concern for the community, and engage the community through partnerships and a new library loan program of air quality sensors. Central California Asthma Collaborative. CA. $377,720. Recipient will expand their existing network of school-based air monitors. Environmental justice communities will be identified and targeted. Recipient will partner with local community-based organizations to engage schools, residents, and other stakeholders, and will establish community steering committees in each of the selected communities to support project planning, implementation, and outreach. City of Paramount. CA. $319,754. Recipient will continue to maintain the ambient air monitoring program for a 2-year period intended to measure and monitor possible community pollutant exposure and to ensure metal-related businesses are not emitting pollutants at harmful levels. Coalition for Clean Air. CA. $500,000. Recipient will work with 5 YMCA locations in the Los Angeles area to deploy air monitors in historically disadvantaged areas, located near major traffic routes and manufacturing facilities, that currently lack air quality monitoring. Recipient will provide education, real-time air quality information, access to the free Air Visual app to monitor air quality, and indoor air quality mitigation as appropriate at YMCA facilities to further improve community health outcomes. Comite Civico del Valle, Incorporated. CA. $500,000. Recipient will establish a regional air monitoring network in the Salton Sea Air Basin to screen for toxic pollutants at low cost and in real time. Recipient will review air pollutant concentrations, identify the emission sources, and apply the findings to improve the efforts clean air advocates to reduce emissions together with public agencies. Comite Civico del Valle, Incorporated. CA. $500,000. Recipient will maintain, operate, and upgrade their current real-time air monitoring network. Recipient will provide air quality education in the Salton Sea airshed for community members exposed to high levels of air pollutants. Humboldt State University Foundation. CA. $500,000. Recipient will establish the Klamath Region Community Air Monitoring Network, a community-operated network of sensors to serve communities in the Klamath region of Northern California that heavily affected by wildfires and industrial emissions. Project will include activities that engage community members in understanding air quality data and will provide capacity-building resources and knowledge sharing to foster partnerships and sustain the usefulness of the air network into the future. Imperial County APCD. CA. $481,250. Recipient will expand upon the current air quality monitoring work being conducted to better understand the potential air quality impacts of the New River. Air monitoring equipment will be relocated to the environmentally burdened communities of Sealy and Brawley, California. All data will be displayed on a public-facing website. Manzanita Band of Diegueno Mission Indians. CA. $229,072. Recipient will implement an air monitoring network to detect levels of various pollutants throughout the Manzanita Reservation. Recipient will create website and educational materials will be provided to inform the tribal community how to reduce exposure to harmful air pollutants. Oxnard Harbor District. CA. $500,000. Recipient will expand their existing monitoring network by installing 4 air monitoring stations to understand and communicate air pollution burden from freight and transportation networks in the Oxnard Plain of Ventura County, California. The recipient will develop a community-based team to create communication tools that facilitate understanding of the monitored air quality data, including a multilingual website to provide public access to the data and with a focus on engaging with underserved communities. Paula Band of Mission Indians. CA. $232,367. Recipient will enhance the Paula Tribal Community Air Monitoring Network to detect levels of air pollutants throughout the Paula Reservation. The Paula Environmental Department will educate the tribal community on how to reduce exposure to harmful air pollutants. Pepperwood Foundation. CA. $499,347. Recipient will engage members of Northern Sonoma County's large Latinx population and local seniors to assess their needs and increase the extent, availability, and accuracy of air quality data in rural areas by adding sensors to an existing fire and flood situational awareness network. Project involves creating bilingual outreach materials to mitigate potential health impacts during extreme wildfire smoke air quality events. Play Marin. CA. $498,828. Recipient will deploy a network of air quality monitors that will be maintained by the community and train community members to conduct traffic counts and indoor air monitoring for potential health triggers. Air quality data collected will be used for interventions and planning for action to protect public health. Sequoia Foundation. CA. $499,895. Recipient will create a regional collaboration network that will undertake community engagement and needs assessment activities, support air quality capacity building, deploy a public network of low-cost air sensors throughout 3 California Bay Area environmental justice communities, and promote best practices in community air monitoring. South Coast AQMD. CA. $499,900. Recipient will enhance air monitoring in Southern California environmental justice communities through the deployment of air quality sensors. Data collected will inform community-led action to reduce pollutant emissions and exposures at the local level, helping to reduce existing disparities in health outcomes. South Coast AQMD. CA. $500,000. Recipient will enhance the monitoring network in Wilmington, California, a community that has been disproportionately impacted by air pollution and the COVID-19 pandemic. The results of this study will provide new information on major sources of air pollution and their contribution to air quality in Wilmington and the surrounding areas. Special Service for Groups, Incorporated. CA. $100,000. Recipient will develop a robust air monitoring plan with community members, monitor local air quality trends in Alhambra and Monterey Park to identify disproportionate air pollution impacts and sources of particle pollution, and develop meaningful relationships with organizations working to improve air quality along the goods movement corridor in Los Angeles in order to develop and coordinate sustainable solutions to address community air pollution concerns. Tule River Tribal Council. CA. $500,000. Recipient will establish community air quality monitoring, data collection, and community engagement to assess and mitigate impacts of climate change and wildfire smoke on the Tule River Indian Reservation. Project intent is to address climate change, specifically increased wildfire smoke impacts, through community team building, professional partnership development, and collaboration. United Latinos, Promoviendo Acción Cívica. CA. $416,395. Recipient will deliver a culturally sensitive air quality monitoring curriculum to the student demographics in a Sacramento City School District school that includes environmental justice communities. Recipient will deploy air quality monitors in schools and the surrounding neighborhoods and low-cost sensors in school bus routes. Data collected will help inform air quality management strategies. Largest investment for community air monitoring in EPA history, funded by President Biden's climate and economic plans. Washington, November 3, 2022. Today, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, announced that 132 air monitoring projects in 37 states will receive $53.4 million from President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act and American Rescue Plan to enhance air quality monitoring in communities across the United States. The projects are focused on communities that are underserved, historically marginalized, and overburdened by pollution, supporting President Biden's Justice 40 initiative. The air pollution monitoring projects are made possible by more than $30 million in Inflation Reduction Act funds, which supplemented $20 million from the American Rescue Plan and enabled EPA to support 77 additional projects, more than twice the number of projects initially proposed by community-based nonprofit organizations, state and local governments, and tribal governments. More than $4 million will be awarded to communities visited by EPA Administrator Michael Reagan during his first Journey to Justice tour. I've traveled across the country and visited communities who've suffered from unhealthy, polluted air for far too long. I pledged to change that by prioritizing underserved communities and ensuring they have the resources they need to confront long-standing pollution challenges, said EPA Administrator Michael S. Reagan. The air monitoring projects we are announcing today, which include the first EPA grants funded by President Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, will ensure dozens of overburdened communities have the tools they need to better understand air quality challenges in their neighborhoods and will help protect people from the dangers posed by air pollution. These grant selections further the goals of President Biden's Justice 40 initiative and executive order, tackling the climate crisis at home and abroad, which directed that 40% of the overall benefits of certain federal investments flow to overburdened communities that face disproportionately high and adverse health and environmental impacts. By enhancing air monitoring and encouraging partnerships with communities, EPA is investing in efforts to better protect people's health, particularly those in underserved communities. The amount of the anticipated grant funding ranges from $57,000 to $500,000, which will enhance air monitoring in communities and establish important partnerships to address air quality concerns. More than half of the selected applications are from community and nonprofit organizations. Tribes are receiving 12% of the total funding for this competition. EPA will start the process to award the funding by the end of 2022, once the grant applicants have met all legal and administrative requirements. The grantees will have 3 years to spend the funds from the time EPA awards the grants. Ensuring Americans have clean air to breathe starts with having an effective system to measure the pollutants that exist, said Senator Tom Carper, chairman of the Environment and Public Works Committee. Fortunately, the Biden administration is taking action to improve our nation's outdated air quality monitoring system, thanks to our historic investments in the Inflation Reduction Act and American Rescue Plan. These grants will go a long way toward enhancing air quality and improving public health, especially in low-income and historically disadvantaged communities. For too long, these communities have been overburdened by air pollution while often contributing disproportionately little to the cause. I commend Administrator Reagan for his steady commitment to delivering cleaner air in communities across our nation, and I look forward to continuing the important work of advancing legislation that improves our nation's air monitoring systems. With today's announcement, the Biden EPA is safeguarding Americans' right to clean air by strengthening air monitoring across the country and providing communities the localized information they need to protect public health, said Congressman Frank Pallone, Jr., chairman of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. These projects are especially crucial for environmental justice communities, which continue to bear the brunt of air pollution and its adverse health effects. I'm thrilled the funding we included in the American Rescue Plan and Inflation Reduction Act is providing these communities with the resources they both need and deserve, and I commend EPA for being a steadfast partner in our fight to ensure these communities will never again be left behind. The announcement today delivers on Administrator Reagan's commitment to action following his ongoing journey to justice tour. Following the first leg of the tour through Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas in November 2021, EPA encouraged communities to apply for the grants. Today's selectees include 8 projects in communities from the tour, totaling nearly $4 million from this grant program. These awards to communities from Journey to Justice and additional awards to underserved and overburdened communities reflect the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to deliver environmental justice and the whole-of-government approach to addressing these issues in communities that are historically marginalized.
See the list of applications selected for award.
Background. In spring 2021, Congress passed the American Rescue Plan, providing EPA with a one-time supplemental appropriation of $100 million to address health outcome disparities from pollution and the COVID-19 pandemic. Half of that $100 million was dedicated to air quality monitoring. EPA regions began awarding nearly $22.5 million from this appropriation in 2022 as direct awards to state, tribal, and local air agencies for continuous monitoring of fine particle and other common pollutants. In addition, EPA regions are in the process of procuring monitoring equipment using $5 million in American Rescue Plan funding to advance the EPA regional office's mobile air monitoring capacity and establish air sensor loan programs. These investments will improve EPA's ability to support communities that need short-term monitoring and air quality information. In July 2021, EPA announced the $20 million American Rescue Plan Enhanced Air Quality Monitoring for Communities grant competition. The goal of this competition was to improve air quality monitoring in and near underserved communities across the United States, support community efforts to monitor their own air quality, and promote air quality monitoring partnerships between communities and tribal, state, and local governments. EPA received more than 200 applications in response to the competition. The Inflation Reduction Act of 2022 provides funding to EPA to deploy, integrate, support, and maintain fence-aligned air monitoring, screening air monitoring, national air toxics trend stations, and other air toxics and community monitoring. Specifically, the Inflation Reduction Act provides funding for grants and other activities under Section 103 and Section 105 of the Clean Air Act. EPA is using approximately $32.3 million of this funding to select 77 high-scoring community monitoring applications. Selections for the ARP Enhanced Air Quality Monitoring Competitive Grant. EPA is selecting 132 projects in 37 states to receive a total of $53.4 million to conduct ambient air monitoring of pollutants in communities across the country with environmental and health outcome disparities stemming from pollution and the COVID-19 pandemic. EPA will start the process to award the funding by the end of 2022, once the grant applicants have met all legal and administrative requirements. This table can be sorted by clicking on each column header. A downloadable version is available here.